Is it worth buying in the Philippines in 2025 and beyond? Part two. All right.
Woo!
That's what we'll be answering today. Welcome to the second episode of Financial Freedom Philippines. Our mission is to empower Filipinos to build wealth and a brighter future. We are driven by a deep love for the Philippines and a vision of seeing the country and its people flourish. My name is Kane, and joining me today are my amazing co hosts, Georgina and Justin.
Hi,
Hello.
everyone.
Hello.
And together we have spent years diving deep into the world of real estate, finance, and banking. Our goal to equip you with the insights, strategies, and inspiration you need to make a smart and informed decision on your investment journey. We're so excited to kick things off with a question that's on a lot of minds lately. Is it worth buying property in the Philippines? Part two. So just a quick recap on everything that we discussed last time. So technically, we talked about data, lifestyle, infrastructure, projects, number, GDP. It's more of like the objective point of view on why buying a property in the Philippines would be a good idea for real estate investors.
Mhm.
Yeah. But how about you guys?
Definitely. Last episode was very numbers based, very factual. This episode is going to be more about the emotional and
Sure.
personal reasons why you might be interested in buying in the Philippines.
All right. And Justin, yeah, I do have a question here as well. Again, same as last time. Why did we do this episode?
What inspired us to do this series specifically on why people should invest, as an investor or in this episode for personal reasons? We did this because there's a growing number of Filipinos who are born overseas or, second generation, third generation, who are moving here to the Philippines because number one, cost of living is super high in countries like Australia, the United States, the UK. And then number two, which I think is a big one, it's the real estate, the cost of real estate in those countries. It's most people that are living in those countries are living in what we call a renter's nation, meaning most people are renting.
Yeah.
And the people that are looking to buy probably taking them 20 years to save up for a deposit. So, and a lot of those are Filipinos and they're going, where can I go to improve
Mm.
my lifestyle, but also get into the game of real estate? And they end up with the answer, the Philippines.
Yeah. And if it's possible to profit while living your dream lifestyle, why not the best of both worlds, right? Okay. So let's start off with why live in the Philippines. Reason number one, because we're a tropical island. The
Of
Philippines is a tropical
course.
island. So,
Yeah.
Georgina, tell us about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is probably the most obvious persuasive factor that comes to mind when I think about why people should live in the Philippines. You ask people, where do you want to go on holiday or where do you want to retire? And a lot of people will say on a beach somewhere, right? And there's a reason for that.
Mm.
It is seen as the epitome of luxury. It is that unreachable standard that people are aiming for. And it's not the case anymore, especially in this world of remote working. It's very, very possible to live and invest and buy here in the Philippines and get to experience all the beautiful things that the Philippines has to offer. Something that the Philippines is renowned for is, of course, the beaches. It's
Yeah.
beautiful white sand, it's crystal clear water. You've got the beautiful
Mm.
limestone cliffs all over Palawan, and the water is really warm. It's really, really warm. I love swimming in the ocean here, especially compared to Australia, where it is icy cold. The water here is just
Right.
beautiful. So there's so many destinations with beautiful beaches, Boracay, El Nido, Siargao, Coron, even Batangas. They're ranked as some of the most beautiful beaches in the entire world, not
Right.
just in the Philippines. So that really goes to show that it's not just me being biased. Like, the Philippines is really beautiful. And
It
it
is.
offers like a very it's like I said, like it's that unreachable lifestyle that people want to achieve. You know, you want to sit on the beach and watch the sunset. You want to wake up in the morning and see the sun shine over the water. You know, it is a very
Mm,
relaxing lifestyle. It's really good for your mental health. It makes you just feel happier being in such a peaceful environment. So I think that's probably a really big
right.
contributing factor to why you might want to buy here. You know, if you're thinking you might want to get away from the hustle and bustle of a city, you know, the beach is
Yep.
probably going to be a good place to go. And, you know, in saying that as well, the Philippines isn't isolated, you know, and
Mm,
even if you wanted to live on a beach here, you're not isolated. It's still very easy to get to and from the beach to a main city. Even if you wanted to go on a trip away from the country, you know, there's airports around. It's very easy to do a weekend getaway. You don't have to stay on the beach forever. You can go to a mountain, you can go to a
mm,
volcano, you can go to the city, you can go to the jungle over a weekend. It's not that hard to do. It
yeah.
is just a short trip away. And I think those are probably going to be the main factors. It's a bit of a slower lifestyle, but it's a lot more beautiful, and it's a lot less stressful. I think the whole idea of a tropical lifestyle appeals to the majority of people.
Right. And a lot of people, whenever the term tropical island is brought up, probably they would think like Hawaii,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
island things. And
Bali and Fiji are really
Bali,
popular ones.
Fiji, yeah, yep, those islands like that. And the Philippines really encapsulate that kind of impression about tropical islands, the relaxing atmosphere, that calming atmosphere, just it's kind of like retiring and on a vacation at the same time.
It
Kind of
is,
like
yeah.
that kind of
Yeah.
vibe, right? Because even me as a Filipino, I'd probably retire here as well, and I would want to retire near a beach.
Yeah.
And my parents just bought a beach lot because they want to retire on a beach here in the Philippines. Because again, with the reasons that you just mentioned, Regina, it's really calm and everything's really accessible. You don't have to settle like if you want to leave near a beach that you're not going to be near a city. No, that's not always the case here.
And
Everything's nearby.
I think people who live on the islands tend to be a lot happier as well, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. The tourist tagline of the Philippines used to be, "It's more fun in the Philippines."
Is it not? I feel like it's still more that tagline's still our tagline, right? By the
I
way,
they
a
just
great
changed it.
tagline. What they
Yeah,
change it
I
to?
love the Philippines.
I like it's more fun in the Philippines. Actually, why did they change it?
Yeah,
They
I
should
don't
be
know. Yeah,
because it's
that used to
more
be the
fun in the
tagline.
Philippines. Like
Yeah,
legitimately, it's more fun in the Philippines. Like
it
you know,
is.
like Jadina said, like living on an island is so much fun. Like just that the vibe of living on the island. And if you go to, you know, for people that haven't been to El Nido, Boracay,
Mm,
Coron, Siargao, do it. It's a must.
Yeah,
Eh,
there's still internet, there's still bars, there's still
Yeah.
restaurants, there's still clubs you can go to. You're definitely not isolated if you don't want to be.
And
mm.
what's funny, actually, if you go to, let's say, El Nido, it's almost more white people. Like, it's almost more foreigners than Filipinos. Or, like, if you go to Boracay, it's almost more Koreans than there
Mm.
are. Than there
There are a
I
lot
mean,
of tourists.
that's how good islands are. That there are more foreigners on our islands than there are Filipinos.
Yeah, there are a lot of tourists. Because again, the beaches are absolutely beautiful. It's crystal clear, especially when you go to an island like Palawan. You mentioned Coron and El Nido. I think it ranks as. I'm not sure what's the most recent data about this, but I did see a lot of rankings that it was first on the most beautiful island in the world,
El
along
Nido.
with El
Yeah,
Nido. Yeah, because it's absolutely
it's stunning.
breathtaking. It's just stunning. It's like you're like in the world of Avatar, right? It's like you're in a
Yeah.
different planet, and when you go there, it's like the color is just, oh my gosh, like so green, and the water's is so blue, right? It's not
It's
just blue, it's like crystal blue.
it's very comparable to like Greece, like the Mediterranean sort of ocean, those sorts of vibes.
Right. I've never been to Greece, but I guess so. If you describe it that way, I would guess so, but I'm a little bit biased. I think the
Yes.
Philippines is
I think the
I mean,
Philippines is better, but I'm also biased.
right, right. But yeah, that's just one reason. That's our first reason and what first personal reason on why investing in the Philippines would be beneficial for our real estate investors. But while natural beauty of our tropical islands is breathtaking, there's actually something else that makes the Philippines even more special. That leads us to our reason number two, the people. The people, the true heartbeat of the Philippines. So, how about you guys? Because I've lived in the Philippines for most of my life. You guys have lived abroad and kind of like an external perspective on the people of the Philippines. So, what are your thoughts about the people of the Philippines?
I think two words come to mind: kindness and respect.
Mm,
Like, I traveled all over the world, and I don't think I can name more kinder and respectful people than Filipinos. And I might be biased being a Filipino, but like, you know, it's interesting because we get a stigma of a developing country, and a lot of people think developing country and dangerous, but I think it's complete opposite. Like, especially compared to other developing nations, like when you get here, chances are people are going to be very nice to you, they're going to help you. In fact, a lot of the times foreigners are sometimes treated better than locals
yeah,
depending on where you go. So
absolutely.
I think that if you're a real estate investor or you're looking to move somewhere and you're thinking about how people are going to treat you and how the community as a whole is, Philippines is number one.
Yeah. I think Filipinos are also just really funny, especially in comparison to other countries. Like been to Bali, been to Thailand, and these countries also have a reputation for being really nice and really friendly and
Right.
looking after you. But like there's just something a little different about Filipinos that are more willing to engage with you, kind of like on more of a friend basis, on a human basis, whereas like on the
Mm,
other countries, it is more of like a professional kind of thing. I feel like
mm.
Filipinos are more likely to talk to me and laugh with me and joke with me than other cultures, perhaps. I'm not sure what
Yeah,
it is. Yeah.
that's true. I don't know, but well, again, the Philippines were colonized by Western powers way, way back. So that's going to be America. It was also colonized by Spaniards and also the Japanese. And apparently, for some reason, we are in love with the culture and the people of our colonizers. I actually do not know why. But like take for example, the Philippines is very much westernized.
Yes.
Um, English is our second official language. English is seen as it's kind of like a social status. It's a social status in the country. For some reason, foreigners or international people from abroad, rather, they're really the way we receive them and we see them. It's totally different from somebody who'd probably be Filipino, and we see them as someone who's just well off or they're rich, so that we treat them with more respect, right? Because again, colonizer mind, I think that comes into play in the society, but it's not necessarily a bad thing for me because it's one of the reasons why we're friendly with our international friends, right? But yeah, that's just I think one of the reasons why we're so friendly and why you feel that when it comes to you, Filipinos are just probably happier around you. You'll probably feel more welcomed,
Yes,
right?
definitely. I've never felt like an outsider here. I've
Uh,
always, it's been very quick to be welcomed into like that sense of family, I think.
Yeah. So the Philippines is probably, I don't know, one of the friendliest people when it comes to foreigners. Because there will be some countries that would not necessarily receive customers the same way the Philippines receive them,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Think of
So,
like I'll name, like, if you go to Europe, there's a lot of European countries at the moment
right.
that are saying, they don't like tourists, go away, come back in 2 years from now. I don't, yeah, you're not going to get
Right.
that here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I've seen this a lot, like on the media. Some people would say, "Go back to your country."
Yeah, it's
But in the
nasty.
Philippines, I've never had any experience. I've never seen it on the news. I've never seen it on the media that a Filipino said, Go back to your country."
Yeah.
Right? Unless probably that person would be probably breaking laws or rules, then only them would the community be mad. But yeah, I've never. And also, speaking about being hospitality, Filipinos are known worldwide for our hospitality. So there's a lot of culture and a lot of how we say it. One best example that I have here is during Christmas. So
Oh,
Filipinos love Christmas because we're a Catholic country, right? Well, we don't have an official religion, but in the Philippines, a lot of peoples are Catholic, so we love Christmas. Actually, just a fun fact: we celebrate Christmas for 4 months. We start in September. Did you know that,
Yeah, that's
Georgina?
I didn't
Did you
know it for
notice?
sure, but I've noticed. Yeah,
Yeah,
all the
at
Christmas
Se-
decorations come up very early.
in September, we
yeah.
celebrate Christmas already. So you would see Christmas decorations in malls. You would
Yeah.
see Christmas decorations in some houses. If you go to villages, if you go to the island or the provinces, you would see a lot of Christmas. We love Christmas. It's our favorite. We celebrate Christmas the longest compared to the entire world. And one of the cultures here for the kids, not just for the kids, but mainly for the kids, is something we call caroling. Right. So I think Americans also have this, what you call caroling. But in the Philippines, whenever it's Christmas, kids would go house to house and then they would ask for, actually, they don't ask for anything. It's just customary that when kids are singing in front of your house, you give them some coins. Like, oh my gosh, good job. Like, go
Yeah.
ahead, get some coins. And then for some houses, they would actually open their house and then they would invite people to eat with them, especially during Christmas, or actually not just Christmas, even birthdays.
Mm.
Like birthdays, if you're a stranger, especially if you're a foreigner, Filipinos love foreigners, and there's like a celebration, and then you manage to pass by an open house, they're gonna welcome you, like, eat, come here and eat. Like, yeah, Filipinos are just mainly known for our hospitality.
Yeah,
There's just really this sense of community. It's incredible.
it
It's
is.
incredible. And that if you take for example, your car broke down, right? Everyone's gonna rescue you. Like, yeah, everyone's just gonna come together. It's like if you ask one neighbor, that one neighbor is gonna call everybody else, and they're gonna get the car mechanic, they're gonna get the auto dealer, they're gonna get everyone that knows everything about cars, and they're gonna fix your car for you, and they're not gonna leave your car unless it's absolutely fixed. So it's just amazing, you know. Go
Another
ahead,
good
Justin.
example of that, actually, that you're not going to find usually in more Western countries, right, is the fact that when Filipinos go out to eat to a restaurant, they will order for the whole group. So
Yeah.
usually it will be
Oh
like
yeah,
big group dishes, and then everybody shares as a
yes.
group, as a family, as friends. But usually when you go to like a Australia, for example, that's very rare. Even if you're eating out with your family,
Really?
order individual dishes. But that's just an
For
example of
real?
how much Filipinos like to be together.
Yeah, that was a very big thing that shocked me when I first came here. Was like I would
Wow.
be looking through the menu and I'd pick out what I want, and then the family would say, "Okay, we'll get this set," and I said, "But you didn't ask me what I wanted," which is very different to how I'm used to ordering my own meals, because it usually you order for yourself, and then yeah, it was very strange flipping through the
I never
menu.
knew this.
Yeah, you see all these different sets, set A, set B, set C, whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't eat all of this. It's like I'm skipping through the menu thinking I'm not going to order that. So yeah, it was definitely a big culture shock, I think, for me. Took me a long
Yeah,
time to get used to.
I thought that as a Filipino, I thought that was like customary. Like if you're with friends, you order as a group. You don't order individually. Like if
No.
you order individual, I mean, sure, you could do that if you're probably on a budget or. But yeah, it's very, very common, especially during family gatherings or when you're with large group of people. You order by group, not individually. You go to a restaurant and order by group, and then you eat all of the food together, and you make
Yeah.
sure that every single one of you that's in that group gets at least one
You
taste.
try a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then also, I don't know if you noticed this. I don't know if you've been to a Filipino party, Georgina, but there will always be one piece that's going to be left on
Yeah.
any type of food on the table
Yeah. No one
when
wants to
you're
take
with
the
a
last bit.
Right.
Filipino. Nobody
I
wants to
think
take the
that might
last.
be universal there.
Oh, it might be
Univer-
universal.
that's
Okay,
pretty universal. No one wants to take that last piece
the last piece.
of chicken. There's always like one chicken.
Yeah.
I'll take the
The
last piece of
difference,
pork.
Kate, actually, is that I think the difference is that like when you leave, you get like some takeaway, basically. Like, you know what I
Yes,
mean?
you
Like
can.
you will
Right.
you will leave with food. So come to a Filipino party, and chances are you're gonna leave with food as well. But that's
Yeah,
like
for
not
sure.
really a thing.
And the host would encourage you. I mean, me, well, when I'm hosting like my own Filipino party, like during Christmas or during my birthdays, and there's a lot of leftover, I will force my guests. I will pack the food for them, and I want them to take it home, and that's, again, it's not just for foreign, it's for everyone, like whether you're a Filipino or a foreigner. It's Filipino culture to do that for your guests, and that's just one of the reasons why the Philippines is known for hospitality, right? And one last thing I want to bring up before we move on to our next topic is fiestas. Have you ever experienced fiestas, you guys?
I've never been to one. No.
Oh my gosh, you are missing out.
Tell me
Fiestas
tell
are
me about it.
crazy.
What am I
Fiestas are
missing out
crazy in
on?
the Philippines. Well, there will be some fiestas where every single house that you would see will be open houses. So you could literally go inside the house of people. That's like the entire block. Take for example, and then everyone would have their lumpia and their Filipino spaghetti and their pancit, and like you could just take and that would be the fiesta. And then there will be dancers, like take for example, one of our fiestas called ati-atihan. A lot of people might take offense because the ati-atihans kind of commemorates and it brings back our heritage, our
Mhm.
dark skin heritage. So for some people, they might think that we're doing blackface and all of that, but in reality, we're just really celebrating our original heritage because Filipinos are not naturally white skinned or fair skinned. We're
Mm.
really brown skinned, but way before we were brown skinned, our original ancestors were called Aitas. That's Aitas, right? And they would be similar to what you would see from people in Africa,
Mm.
people like Black Americans. They would be very, very similar to them. But technically, those were our original ancestors, and we're trying to celebrate that,
So is a
our
fiesta
origin.
like an event for like a one time like a day event, or can they?
No, it's bad. There will be some fiestas that would span for days. It
Oh,
depends, but
okay.
it's just everywhere. It's not common in the city because the city's like it has so many cars. There's no room
Right.
for fiestas, right? But probably on the inner sides of the cities and the inner villages and subdivisions, there will be fiestas.
Mm.
There will be fiestas, and there will be like so many colors and dancers and singers and contests. Filipinos love contests, pageants. It's like a variety of everything, and
Yeah,
it's just
sounds like a
really,
good time.
yeah. And it's like there's music, and people are just watching, and you just watch, and yeah, it's really really fun. You guys should try it out. It's one of the best experiences. We have like sinulog, pinagbenga. There's so many, but it's not just as common in the city because probably we're in the city, so you guys might not have experienced it. But if you go
Yeah.
to provinces like Iloilo, if you go to province like Cebu, if you go to provinces like Bicol, right? Bicol just had their fiesta, and yeah, it's just so fun. It's like 100 fiestas every year, so it's happening almost everywhere. So, yeah, it's so fun, and you get to experience the people
The
there,
culture.
the
Yeah.
culture. Yeah, that's one of the attractions
It sounds so
on.
nice. I want to go.
Yeah, a lot of foreigners go to the Philippines for the fiestas as well. Yeah, they try to visit the country for the fiestas, specifically for that event. But yeah, anyways, I'm enjoying too much. I'm enjoying too much because my childhood's bringing me back to the times when the fiestas were literally everywhere. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you're looking for a place where people are warm as a real estate investor, the Philippines is calling you.
Mm.
If you enjoy that kind of thing. But since we've got beaches and the friendliest folks, right? What do you think could make the Philippines even better? Like, take a guess, you guys.
Well, I think we kind of touched on it, like the food.
There you go. That's our
Yeah.
next topic. Our
Yeah.
third reason,
Nice.
the food. Of course, Philippines is a culinary paradise. What do you guys think? Do you agree?
I'm thinking of crispy pork ever since I just
Crispy
said,
pata.
yep, I will take the last piece on the plate.
Sinigang.
Sinigang.
If you've never been to the Philippines, you've never tasted Filipino food. I guess the best way to describe Filipino food in one word would be flavorsome. Like, yeah, every single one of our dishes has a distinct and strong flavor to it. Whether it's sinigang, so it's very sour,
Mm,
crispy pata, so it's very fatty, and then you have adobo, which is very salty. Like we're
mm.
very our food is very much impactful when you eat it, and you won't be like you can't say Filipino food is flavorless because you do.
It's
There are
kind of like
some
soul food.
So yeah,
yes, so
Yeah.
good a good
that's
way
the
to
best
describe
way
it.
to
Yeah,
Yeah.
describe it.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
There's just so many variety. There's so much variety that we have a food called in English. It depends on the translation, but it's called variety. It's called mix
Halo, halo.
mix. It's halo halo, right? Halo means mix or variety, and it's a dessert. And technically, there's so many elements and ingredients to that, like jackfruit, banana, purple yam or ube, jellies, condensed milk. There's so many. There's so many variety on that dessert.
Mm,
The thing about our food for somebody that's never been to the Philippines is that you can find any type of food here in the Philippines. So
definitely.
because we, Kane mentioned, we got colonized by a lot of people, so we're influenced by a lot of cultures, and we've accepted a lot of those cultures. So if you're from the West or you're from Europe, you will find what you need here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So if you're, from the US and you're trying to escape because of what happens in the political landscape, I wouldn't say the name, but if you go here, you will find Japanese, you will find, your Western McDonald's, KFC, Taco Bell,
Mm.
Korean barbecue, you name it, we have it. And that's also what makes Philippines great. If from an emotional perspective you're looking to invest here and live here, you will never run out of food, and we are so diverse in what food we offer, and that's amazing.
I think
Yeah.
it's very easy to feel comfortable here because, yes, you can stick with what you
Mm.
know. You can stick with your Starbucks and your, I don't know, your white people food or whatever. And then you can go have the cultural experience and try the street food and just try like the culture, and it's for less than like $1 or whatever. So like
Right.
you can live the best of both worlds.
Right. And personally speaking, I don't think foreigners, especially people from the West, would have a hard time adjusting to the food here because, again, the
Definitely not.
Philippines, the cuisine of the Philippines have a lot of influences to it. Like, take for example, for our Chinese probably investors or our Chinese friends, we have shopao, we have shomai, right?
Mhm.
Those are heavily influenced by Chinese dumplings, but
Yes.
it's a very common Filipino food, right? Take for example, burgers. There's so many different types of burgers in the Philippines. So the American type of, and we have like nuggets,
Lots of fried
um,
chicken.
lots of fried chicken, meat, steak. We literally have a food called bistek. All right, it's beef steak, but because I don't know, Filipinos are probably culturally, we just became lazy on how to pronounce it because we have a hard time pronouncing some words, right? We just call it bistec, right? But it's beef steak, but we call it bistec. But yeah, for our foreigner audiences, that nobody, whether you're Asian, whether you're from the West, whether you're European, you're Japanese, you name it, Middle Eastern, you're not gonna have a hard time adjusting to the food here. And yeah, that's just one of the best reasons as well. If you're a foodie and you're looking for a place that you want to spend time eating good food and good meals, the Philippines is the place to invest most definitely.
Mhm.
But yeah, speaking of food, well, given the current trends right now in the global economy, prices are growing. For you guys, do you think it applies here in the Philippines? Is it expensive?
I think that the Philippines can be expensive if you want to
Mm,
live that lifestyle. If you
mm.
don't want to live that lifestyle, it's very easy to live
There we go.
frugal. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's a bit different for me because I'm coming from a place of privilege where I can work remotely on
Mm,
my Australian dollar, for example. So
right.
if you're in the position where you have a stronger currency, like a US dollar, a euro,
Right.
a British pound or whatever, and you can convert that currency into the Filipino peso, you can live any standard of life that you want to live here.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
brings us to our next topic,
oh,
the affordability in the Philippines, which is an absolutely game changer. And it's not just on food. As you mentioned, Georgina, when you're converting a stronger currency here in the Philippines, it doesn't just apply with food. It
mm,
applies on everything, whether it's food, transportation, hotels, even flights
yeah.
would be cheaper to go here in the Philippines. Yeah, besides food, what are your experiences when it comes to the pricing market or the affordability here in the Philippines?
I
Especially you're coming from an Australian
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, because the Philippines does have, luxury resorts. It does have five-star hotels. It does have exclusive spas and, golf clubs and whatever it is that you want to do. There's a very expensive version of it if you want to, but there's also the cheap versions as well. So it just depends on what you want to achieve and whether or not, like I said, if you have that foreign currency behind you, it's a lot easier to live in the Philippines. It is affordable.
Yep.
From my perspective, yes, the Philippines is incredibly cheap. But if I was a local Filipino and I was locally employed, it's probably not cheap. That's just
Yep.
the way it is. But in saying that, things like public transport, things like food, from my perspective, yes, it's dirt cheap. I'm spending, cents, if only a couple of dollars to get these things, whereas I can feed a family of 4 here in the Philippines for what I could feed, you know, 1.5 people in Australia
Mm.
if I was to go out to a restaurant, for example.
I
Yeah.
think that's the main point, right? In terms of, we're saying that a good reason to invest is affordability,
Yep.
and we're talking about it in terms of if you compare going to a luxury place in the West, it's a lot cheaper to go to a luxury place here than going to the
Yeah.
West. Or if you want to live like a modest life, it's a lot cheaper to live a modest life here than it is in the West. So that's the comparison, right? In terms of affordability, is whatever lifestyle you want to live, it's cheaper here. But what's good is you can have any lifestyle that you want. Whether it's you want to live dirt poor and live in the provinces, you can do that.
Mm.
You want to be middle class and enjoy a little bit of luxury here and there and just have a comfortable life, you can do that. Or if you want to have go to 5-star resorts and go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant or Wolfgang Parks or any of that. You've got that here. The difference is it's just cheaper in general.
Yeah.
One of the dreams, I suppose, for a lot of Australians, especially like content creators, is to go to another country and rent out a villa For example, I know of like a couple of YouTubers who have, gone and rented out with some of their content creator friends, live in Thailand, live in Bali, wherever, and then they're living a better lifestyle for cheaper than if they had stayed in America. So, for
Yeah.
example, if on my minimum wage job in Australia, I can live here in the Philippines, I can eat out 3 times a week, and I can have a maid come in and do all my laundry, all my cleaning, and
Mm.
it's still cheaper than if I was to live in Australia and do it all myself. So
Yeah.
in terms of my perspective, yes, the Philippines is dirt cheap. I love it. I love how far my money can go. My purchasing power here also translates to real estate. It's not just food, it's not just transport, it is housing as well. It's obviously far, far, far more affordable for me to buy a house here than if I was to buy a house in Australia. And in some respects, I get a lot more for my money as well, because a lot of places here come with the like resort style amenities, like a concierge, 24-hour security, the pool, the gym. All of those things are kind of standard when you buy in a condominium
I
here,
know.
and it's
Yeah.
not standard in Australia.
Right. And you're buying that for less. If you were to buy it on another country, say for example in Australia, in the US, in the UK, yeah, most probably 99% of the time you're gonna pay for more money. And not just watch our previous episode, because we discussed this, but you're gonna pay more than half
Yes.
for that kind of environment, for that kind of service, for those kinds of things and amenities and standard of living, right? You can live a luxurious life in the Philippines. You can still live the life that you would want, but it's going to cost you less. So I agree with Justin, whether you want to live simple, whether you want to live like in the middle class, or whether you're going to live in luxury, you can do it in the Philippines for less. Everything for less, whether that's going to be the food, whether that's going to be your transportation, but most specifically, whether that's going to be buying your house, buy a house or a property in the Philippines, right? So you wouldn't really have a hard time transitioning if you were to invest in the country.
I think a good point to make is that, we're going through emotional reasons why you should buy a property in the Philippines. And that might not always, when you're investing, probably not a good idea to use emotional reasons to invest in a place. But if you're just looking at a place to move because you personally want to have a better lifestyle, a better life in general, this is why we're going through this list. So I'm sure a lot of listeners might be thinking, oh, why are you guys listing these reasons to invest? Not really reasons to invest. It's more emotional reasons to live in the Philippines if you're thinking about moving. And of course, you can always rent. Yeah, absolutely. So, but if you are, I was just going to say, if you are thinking about investing in the Philippines, check out our first video, because that's where we go through reasons and why property investor, logical reasons, not emotional reasons, should invest in the Philippines, just to make that clear for our listeners.
Yeah, these are just contributing factors. These should not be your sole reasons.
Right,
Yes,
right. So yeah, again, watch our first episode. That's gonna be the data, the profit, that it's all gonna be there. But for this one, we're gonna discuss like the inner feeling buying a property, right? So it kind of like you're not necessarily investing for profit, you're investing for emotionally.
and
You're investing
lifestyle.
in lifestyle, emotionally. But then again, you're not going to have a hard time transitioning to the Philippines if you do invest in the country emotionally, right? Which brings us to our next topic on why it's not going to be hard for you to transition in investing emotionally in the Philippines, because English is our second language. So that's our fifth emotional reason for investing in this country. So yes, English is very much widely spoken here. It's one of the official languages. Tagalog and English. So it's going to be so much easier for international investors, visitors, or tourists to go here in the country. You're not going to have a hard time trying to order your food. If you go to restaurants, you don't have to point. You can ask for clarification. If it's on Tagalog, everyone can translate that for you. Sometimes I don't even know the translation on those menus, but those people in the restaurant, they know it. But yeah, you're not gonna have a hard time. Have you guys had a hard time when you went here in the Philippines?
I think that
Or-
when I first came here, setting up like my SIM card, setting up my internet, the
Yeah,
electricity and everything, it was a lot easier being able to speak in English for me. Obviously, that is my preference. So I didn't have as hard a time here as I probably could have.
yeah. So you didn't have a hard time, kind of like handling your bills, transacting with people, yeah,
No.
setting
It
up
is,
your utilities.
let's be honest, there are struggles, of course. Like, not everybody in the Philippines speak English, but it is a good majority. And yeah, sometimes it can be broken English and ma'am sir can happen. But generally, if you don't speak Tagalog, you can have it easier than a lot of foreign countries
Right.
that speak English. I think that majority of the time, especially like essential services, like Georgina was mentioning, like setting up your internet, getting a real estate agent, things that like what you need in order for you to move here, setting up a bank account, generally
Everything's
is
in English.
easy, and you're gonna find somebody that can speak English.
And I think
Yeah.
if you stick to the touristy areas as well, you will
Yes.
especially find everybody speaks English. In BGC, in El Nido, in Boracay, everybody I've ever met has spoken English. But you can't have those same expectations if you were to go to a restaurant in the middle of nowhere. If you're on a road trip through a province, you can't have the same expectations. But
Right.
if you were, renting here, if you were just visiting here, if you were investing in a hotspot, in those touristy areas, in those very popular areas, you're not going to have any troubles. I really don't think you would.
Yeah.
Tip, actually, I think that our reading ability is better than us speaking. So
That's
if you do
interesting.
have a hard time, like a pro tip would actually to write down what you're trying to say and then let somebody read it. I think that if you are having a hard time, that's probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
haven't met anybody that can't read in English.
And at the same time, again, trying to take consideration of the second reason that we had people, if they might not know the translation, they're gonna bring in everybody in their household. They're gonna bring in everybody surrounding them. Do you know what this means? So that everyone can make sure that you don't have a hard time and it does get translated and everyone's able to help you.
That
Right.
actually, sorry, just a little side note, that actually reminds me of one time when I was, I'm always trying to learn Tagalog, but it's really hard to learn a second language. And when I was trying to learn how to ask for an item in a shop, I wrote down in Tagalog, what I thought I would say. Because when you type something into Google Translate, it doesn't always translate correctly, right?
Yeah.
So I wrote
Not-
down, can I have this in my size? And then I put it into Google Translate and I showed it to this shop person and I said, is this correct? And she's looking at it and she's looking at it and she brings her friend over and she brings
There
their
you
friend
go.
over. And they're
I
like, this is
totally-
not what you would say. And I was like, oh my gosh, how embarrassing. But everybody was so nice about it and they were so willing to help me. And they really were just so nice. And yeah, I loved it. It was awkward, but I also loved it.
Yeah, you can definitely integrate into the community without the usual language hurdle or barrier. Yeah,
Yeah.
language barriers. And not only that, but take, for example, for our foreign investors who might have kids, schools and universities and businesses in the Philippines use English as the medium of instruction and communication. Like, for example, when I was in university, there would be areas where you're not allowed to speak in other languages. You have
Mm.
to speak in English. There's an English speaking zone in
Mm.
my university. There were some foreign students as well. It's very common here in the Philippines to have foreign students. So yeah, just a side note for our foreign investors who might want to buy properties here in the Philippines for emotional reason, and you have kids and you want to send them to school here, they're not gonna have a hard time. They're gonna have a lot of friends for sure. And yeah, whether that's in schools, whether that's in documents, whether it's in menus, in science, even in science like traffic science, everything's in English. That just goes on to say that there is just a good mix of everything, which is our next reason number 6. It's a good mix of everything. So Justin, why don't you tell us about this? What is this good mix of everything?
Yeah, when we talk about good mix of everything, we mean lifestyle wise. There's practically any type of lifestyle you want, you can find here in the Philippines, or lifestyle features, right? Like we're talking beach, we're talking malls, metropolitan city. If you want to be in the jungle and live like Tarzan, you can easily. Practically anything but snow and
Yeah.
skiing is what we don't have, but everything else we have. And that is such a good reason to live, and also, by the way, a good reason to invest, because lifestyle is such a core driver in property values at the moment. So if you are considering like investing in the Philippines, not just for emotional reasons, the lifestyle and the mixture of lifestyle that the Philippines has to offer is something you definitely should consider. I mean, like literally anything, right? So we've got beaches, El Nido, Boracay, and then we have BGC, Makati for cities, and also in terms of if you're a foodie or you love the nightlife, and nightlife as in if you want nightlife on the beach, I mean you can go to El Nido, and like I mentioned, then nightlife as in like modern nightlife, like going bar hopping and club hopping, you know, BGC, Publishon, things like that. And then like we have all the
Yeah.
restaurants we want. Actually, a big thing is if you do buy here, everything is within vicinity, because developers tend to build their developments with the community in mind. So if you buy a condominium, it's going to come with most likely a pool, a gym, and then it's going to be near a mall, most likely,
Mm,
and then other amenities, and then banks are going to be around that, and shopping centers and grocery shops.
Mm.
So when you buy here, like a condominium, you basically have a lifestyle within that area.
Yeah, it's very much like very similar to a walkable city. Everything that you need on your doorstep. You don't need to go very far. And if you don't drive, and a lot of people don't, it's not a problem. You can literally just walk.
you can walk, you can commute. There's trains here. Trains are being built as well. But then check that out on our last episode. We talked about that.
One last thing about in terms of mix, right, on lifestyle, it's also in terms of the budget. And we've been mentioning this, right? It's a good mix of, if you want to live a lifestyle of luxury, you can here in the Philippines. You can live in BGC and live in high rises and go to 5-star resorts in Cebu and live that lifestyle. But then you can also live a very affordable lifestyle and live in, you know, a more modest place like Quezon, or other places like that. So you can find any lifestyle feature, but also in terms of budget, you can live out the life that you want.
Yeah, for sure. And technically, that's what covers our sixth reason about the Philippines having a good mix of everything. And we're down to our last topic. Aw, I'm
Aw.
getting I'm getting emotional. Okay, so our last reason is that the Philippines is easy to travel to as a top tourist destination. So, Georgina, tell us about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I've loved talking about how much I love the Philippines here in this episode with you guys. And obviously, we can talk about how much we love the Philippines for a very, very long time, hours and hours. But something that I noticed, coming from Australia, the thing that really stood out to me is that the Philippines is very strategically located in Southeast Asia. Now, the reason that that stood out to me is because I'm from Melbourne, right? So it takes me minimum 6-hour flight to get out of the country, except if I was to go to New Zealand. So when I'm planning a holiday, for example, I already need to set aside 2 days just for travel. That means a 5-day holiday is really a 3-day holiday. And that's not really good to plan about. So that kind of sucks. And then also flights are really expensive. So that sucks as well. So when I came here to the Philippines and I saw Japan's 4 hours away, Singapore's a 4-hour flight away, Thailand's 4 hours away, I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can do weekend trips now. I can do overnight trips. I can fly to a place for breakfast and be home in time for dinner. The Philippines is so well located that if you wanted to go visit nearby countries, it's very, very easy to. Now, I'm not saying that you should leave the Philippines because everything you want probably is here. But if you wanted to go see, Japan and Tokyo's temples, and if you wanted to go see South Korea, it's very easy to do so. You don't have to do long haul flights. The flights are usually really cheap, and you can go whenever you want to, especially if you work remotely. It's pretty much all, more or less the same time zone as well. So that's something that just really stood out to me as a foreigner from Australia. I might be a bit biased, someone else might have a very different opinion. That if I was going to invest here in the Philippines, that is actually something that's important to me. That is an emotional reason to me, is seeing where else I can jump off to if I was to stay there for a long time. In saying that, though, the Philippines is filled with their own tourist destinations. There is plenty to see here. Like I say, you can go to Boracay, you can go to Cebu, you can go to Coron. Only going to take you an hour on a plane. And you can see everything that this beautiful country has to offer, and then go see the other countries.
Right, right. Like, take for example, I used to live in the United Arab Emirates, and it's like an 8-hour to 9-hour flight to go to the Philippines. And
Yeah,
then I think we tried to go to Hong Kong. It was like another 8 hours, 7 hours, just so long,
yeah,
right? But when I traveled starting here in the Philippines, I just went to Taiwan a few months ago. It was like there's 2 hours. Then I
yeah.
went to Thailand, it was just like 3 hours, something like that. It's so easy to travel to other tourist destinations when you come from here in the Philippines, when you start here in the Philippines.
Definitely.
So,
It's very
yeah,
comparable to being based in, the UK or in Europe. You sit there and then you've got
yeah,
all these countries nearby that are so easy to go and travel to. It's so comparable to that. It's definitely a benefit that I noticed coming from Australia.
yeah. So it's just like taking the bus,
Yeah.
right? It's that fast and it's that convenient. But yeah, technically, those are our reasons, our emotional reasons on why you should buy a property or invest a property here in the Philippines. So if these emotional reasons have struck a chord with you, then investing in the Philippines might be the perfect decision for you. So we should wrap it up here. So first, our first reason is that we're a tropical island. Number two, the people, the warmth and the hospitality of people. Number three, the food, amazing, amazing food. Number four, affordability. Everything's relatively cheap compared to other countries. Number five, English is a second language. You're not going to have a hard time transitioning here in the Philippines. And number six, there's just a good mix of everything, whether it's Western, Japanese, Asian, Middle Eastern. You'll find it here in the Philippines. And lastly, if you want to travel to top tourist destinations, the Philippines is a good center point to start with.
I think now is a good time to plug our real estate community group. We will have a link to this community down below in the comments, in the description, wherever. This is an online platform that is exclusive for people who think and plan to invest just like you. You'll have access to exclusive resources that are sure to help you make better strategic decisions. And yeah, you can talk to them, you can talk to us, you can ask us questions. We're all going to work together to build a community that'll help us build wealth and strive for financial freedom. So make sure you join that if you are interested in talking to like-minded people.
And if you're already excited and ready to start your real estate journey, I think the best first step is to find out what your budget is. And unfortunately, if you're trying to do that here in the Philippines, unlike in other countries where they have what you call pre-approvals, where you can go to a bank and they give you an exact number based off your finances, how much you can afford and how much they're willing to give you. If you do that here in the Philippines, they only give you a rough estimate and they don't go through the whole process with you. So it's not as accurate as it should be. So what we've done is we are offering a free borrowing power consultation where we will do that for you because, we've taken the time to understand what the lending rules are here in the Philippines. So then we can apply that to your finances and give you a more accurate estimate on how much you can afford. And that way you can go in with a lot more confidence, knowing that this is your budget, plus we can tell you what banks might actually give you that money as well. And additionally, actually, we can also connect you with really credible real estate agents who can help you on that journey, which is super important because, as a lot of people know, scams are very prevalent here in the Philippines. I'm sure that is a reason why you might be avoiding purchasing in the Philippines. Well, we kind of want to help you there by connecting you with real estate agents that will, and we've met and we've double checked and made sure that they are credible. So sign up, it's completely free. And it's one of the best ways to get started here in the Philippines in your real estate journey.
Before we end this podcast, let me just very quickly tell you about what's coming up next. Let's tease our next episode. So next podcast, we're going to be talking about hotspots. We're going to talk about what they are, how you can find them, and we're going to go through all the different variables that come into play when you're considering a hotspot. These are very, very key. They're called core drivers. We're very excited to talk to you about them. So make sure you tune in next episode if you're serious about investing.
Okay, so guys, do not forget, number one, to sign up for our free borrowing power consultation. It's for free, right? And then please make sure to join our real estate community group. So if you want to talk to me, talk to Georgina, talk to Justin about your investing journey, go ahead. We'll respond and we'll reply to you. You'll also have access to a lot of resources that will help you in your path towards financial freedom. And lastly, if you haven't checked or watched our first episode on why real estate investors should invest in the Philippines, please check it out. It is so informative. There's so much data, so much research on that podcast. So please make sure that you watch it as well. And that will be all. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our second episode. And see you on our next. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Paalam.